With the Escape from Tarkov 0.15 patch, Tripwires were added, along with the new boss, Partisan, or Parmesan Cheese, as I like to call him. He is a bit of a pain in the ass, because as soon as he encounters a player and kills a player either with his AK or his tripwires, he will then booby trap the place, so anyone that comes near it will notice that there is about 10 or 11 tripwires surrounding the body and the area in which the player was killed. I decided to do my own little bit of testing though on the tripwires themselves, and to find out how overpowered they are, and along with the desync and netcode issues of Tarkov, could this be yet another thing for the Tarkov community to complain hellishly about? Now, you get hold of these yourself after completing Rough Tarkov. You will get 2 of these tripwire kits as a reward, but to actually buy them yourself and unlock them from traders, you need to complete the quest Every Hunter Knows This. If you want to know how to complete it, there is a video on my channel already, and that actually unlocks the tripwire kit for you to purchase. It is purchasable from Jaeger Loyalty Level 1, and you could buy 2 per reset. They are 38,800 rubles each, and as long as you've completed that quest Every Hunter Knows This, you can get access to these and use these with any grenade. And now it comes to our testing, so I'd like to thank Mr. Sneaks on Twitch for helping me, as well as his Twitch chat for giving me ideas on what to test, because this testing was quite in depth, and we found out a ton of things that you guys might find knowledgeable about these tripwires themselves. So let's get into the testing, shall we?
Oh mate, I'm not. No, whoa, pause. Neither of us are wearing safety goggles.
Shit, yeah. Safety first, kids.
Mate, health and safety can have a fucking field day.
If you just stand in front of me, then I'll be safe. At least one of us is safe. So to equip a tripwire, you need 2 things. You first need the tripwire kit, which you can put in a special slot inside of your inventory, and you need a grenade. But what you need to do is hotkey your grenades, because first you need to whip out a grenade, and to equip a tripwire, you then need to have the grenade in your hands, the grenade of your choice, and then press B, or your fire mode key, whatever that will be if you've changed it, but it's B by default, and then you will get this placement menu where you can see a little stick sticking out the ground, and as soon as it is green, that will allow you to place it. So anywhere that is a green, you can place, and then you'll get another string with the grenade on the other end, and you can drag it out to the length of your choosing. Now, there is a minimum and maximum length for these tripwires, and the minimum length is half a PMC. We're going to be using a PMC for scale, and half a PMC, so from its foot to the upper part of their thigh, is the minimum length of a tripwire. The maximum length is about 2 fully grown PMCs. As soon as you hit the maximum length and go past it, it will change from green to red again, and once you've got the maximum length, or whatever length between the minimum and maximum, all you need to do is left click to place the tripwire down, and the tripwire will be ready to use. Now, the grenades themselves have different properties depending on what grenade you use on the tripwire. So if you use a F1 grenade, then the explosion delay once the tripwire is active is 3.5 seconds, and you'll have an explosion radius of 3 to 7 meters. This works with any explosion type grenade, including the impact grenades, but the impact grenades work slightly differently. The M67, for example, is a 5-second explosion delay, but will have a explosion radius of 4 to 8 meters. So there is more and a bigger explosion, but you'll have longer to run away from the tripwire after it's active. The RGD5 is next, and again that has a 3.5 second explosion delay and an explosion radius of 3 to 7 meters, so very similar to the F1 grenade. The RGN is one of the impact grenades, is where it gets a little interesting. It has an explosion radius of 2 to 5 meters, but the explosion doesn't happen on trigger of the tripwire. You'd think it would because it's an impact nade, but no, it still has an explosion delay of 3.5 seconds. Same with the RGO grenade. The RGO grenade has an explosion radius of 2 to 7 meters and an explosion delay of 3.5 seconds on the tripwire. The VOG-17 has a explosion delay of just 3 seconds, so the shortest so far, but an explosion radius of 2 to 6 meters. And the best one you can use on a tripwire is a VOG 25 with an explosion delay of 2 seconds with an explosion radius of 2 to 7 meters. So if you're using these, be prepared to run quite quickly. In terms of placing these tripwires down, you can place them on any flat or slightly inclined surface. As soon as it starts getting too hilly, then it will change from green to red, indicating you cannot place it there. Pretty straightforward, any flat surface, and I mean anywhere. Say you want to block off power from being turned on an interchange, you can do that. Say you want to block off an extract from being accessed without going for a tripwire, you can do that too. Now you can only take 4 in per raid, but 4 is way more than needed for you to activate enough tripwires to really ruin someone's day, especially because they could be hidden in tall grass and foliage to make them pretty much undetectable. Now you can disarm these tripwires in 2 ways. You can have a multi-tool, or you can do it without it. And all you need to do is, once spotting a tripwire, you need to walk up to it very carefully and then just hold your interact key to start disarming. Now if you do not have a multi-tool, it will take longer than if you do have a multi-tool. If you don't have one, it takes 11 seconds to disarm one of these tripwires. It doesn't matter the length, the disarming time is the same. It will take 10.5 seconds to 11 seconds to disarm your tripwire without a multi-tool. If you do have a multi-tool though, it gets greatly reduced to just 3 seconds to disarm. And then once it's disarmed, a grenade will fall on the floor, which you can then pick up and take home. It does not give you the tripwire trap though. That tripwire trap just disappears. You will only get the grenade after disarming. Tripwires don't just have to be activated by someone running through it either. These get activated with anything interacting with it. Now, you can shoot the posts either side of the tripwire and it will not go off. So if you shoot the right side post, the post without the grenade on it, then it won't go off. As expected, the bullet just goes straight through the post. If you shoot the actual grenade, I would have thought it would have just exploded straight away, but that's not the case either. It doesn't go off at all. However, if you shoot anywhere along the string and your bullet impacts with the string, that's when the tripwire will be activated. You will get your grenade countdown, and then the explosion will happen. And by talking about anything activating these grenade strings, if anything touches the string, scavs, a player dropping on it rather than running through it, even doors, these all activate your grenades. So just be very careful when you are placing them. And remember, if you place one down in the wrong location, you cannot get your tripwire back. You will only get the grenade after you disarm it. Just open the door, don't walk through it. Yep.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yes.
Now, since earlier I said these grenade tripwires can be placed anywhere, what about the cooldown? After a while they should disarm themselves, but how does that work? How long does it take? And what's the indicator for yourselves? So what we did is we set up 3 tripwires. We did 1 minute, 3 minutes, and 7 minutes, because I thought 7 minutes would be long enough for a tripwire to disarm itself, especially if you're placing them on extracts in places like factory, where most people are already out at gate 3 by the time 7 minutes has been up in the raid. So we placed our 3 tripwires and set a timer, and after 1 minute we triggered it, and as expected it did go off. We let the timer go down all the way to 3 minutes now, and we thought, oh, okay, it's probably still going to go off. Nothing's changed in terms of the look of the tripwire, and lo and behold, it did explode as it was triggered. Letting our timer go all the way to 7 minutes, again the tripwire didn't have any physical change to it, and we then triggered it after 7 minutes, and once again it did go off. So how long do you need to wait for it to disarm itself, and what happens? Well, we left another tripwire on its own. We actually left the vicinity because we thought maybe leaving the vicinity would make a difference. Maybe it will disarm itself quicker. So we placed one down, set a timer for 10 minutes, and then came back. And as soon as that timer hit 10 minutes, we saw the grenade fall to the floor, no noise, no nothing, and you were able to pick up the grenade again from the tripwire. So it takes 10 minutes for a trap to disarm itself, even if you are far away from the area. So just bear that in mind. If you're on small maps like Factory, you can have a tripwire active on a location for 10 minutes, and like I say, these can be placed anywhere. I'm not telling you guys to extract camp, I'm just saying it's very possible now. So we know about all the things that do trigger tripwires to go off, but how about other tripwires? Can you start a chain reaction after triggering one tripwire to explode a load others in a close proximity? After all, the grenades have a sometimes 7-meter impact radius, so if they are placed right next to each other, surely they will explode one another, right? So we put down 4 tripwires literally almost within touching distance of each other and set one off. Unfortunately, this doesn't trigger a chain reaction, and it only activates one grenade, and one grenade goes off. However, if you do want to set up a chain reaction, you can do this by laying down, having all of the strings in a line and shooting said string, or having a player run through them all. If they are in close proximity and quite well hidden, then obviously if a player interacts with all of the strings of the tripwires, then they all will go off. However, activating one won't activate them all like you would expect. So that's tripwires then, and that is my testing for them. Hopefully this video helped. There's a lot to them, actually, more than I thought there would be as a first iteration. I guarantee they're going to be tweaked and changed in future patches though. More might be added, less grenades might be able to be used, more grenades might be able to be used. You might be able to create a flash one. That would be interesting. Who knows? There's going to be tons of testing on YouTube, but I hope this one helped you understand just how easy it is to get a hold of a tripwire and what you can do with them. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, a like's always appreciated. Subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.